I'd like to show you something I discovered on Instagram Reels, posted by Kannada Typography. Kannada with a K, not a C. Kannada is spoken and written primarily in Karnataka, in southwestern India. These folks start from the premise that writing is a manual act, and much of their feed, despite their using the name typography, is in fact that combination of writing and drawing that we simplify by calling writing. The reason I bring this up is because we're at a fascinating point in history as we move from handwriting to printing to digital font design. When we enter into the act of trying to digitize our scripts and create digital fonts for them, we use digital tools. Many of these tools tie in with an assumption that a digital font, even for a non-Latin script, should look like a printed typeface. The typeface is in fact the antecedent and guide for the creation of a digital font. This is by no means true. The fact is, typography, whether physical or digital, comes from somewhere. It can come from the demands of a digital square space, or the need to create shapes that can be cast in metal, or it can derive its shapes from centuries of being written with a stylus on a palm leaf, or with a brush on silk. All too often, when using digital tools to create digital fonts, we unwittingly continue this movement of writing away from being a manual act and toward it being a mechanical act. And then, of course, once we use those digital fonts, writing really has become a mechanical act because we are now just pushing individual buttons rather than describing curves and lines that are an extension of the movement of the human hand, wrist, and arm. Now let's look at a different approach by the Kannada typography folks using the Procreate app on an iPad. What I love about this digital tool is that it closes the gap between font creation and calligraphy. It allows a font to be created by the use of the human hand, wrist, and arm, and all of those natural human expressive movements to be experimented with, captured, and expressed in the final form. When we use this font, then, we're going to instinctively trace our act of reading back to an act of writing by a person, a manual being, a human creator. In comparison, a designed digital font, which has to give tremendous amount of thought to the consistent structure of individual letters and the problem of ligatures, which may connect letters in many, many different ways, that design very often seems stiff. It has the virtue of looking official and consistent and clear, but those are virtues of printing, not of writing. The thing I love about this one is that extemporaneous sense of experiment that handwriting is all the time, that it also allows us to experiment until we find a curve and a loop and a recursive curve that we like, that is pleasing to the eye of the writer. And that's the best way to create something that is pleasing to the eye of the reader in a slightly different sense, a less architectural sense and a more artistic sense. It isn't handwriting, but it is handwriting's immediate descendant, a respectful and loving son or daughter.